I'm gonna show you how to create a pitch so good, it's impossible to ignore. This is called the sold before sold formula. And I've used this exact approach to sell $9.2 million of my first online program without speaking to a soul. So if explaining what you do feels like one of the more painful aspects of your life, trust me, you won't have that pain when this video is over. Let's get into it. Okay, the first principle here is you have to sell an idea before the product. This is the most misunderstood aspect of pitching. Now, when I say pitch, I mean anytime you communicate your value to other people. This could be in a one-on-one conversation. This could be if you're being interviewed on a podcast. This could be if you're doing an online presentation on Zoom. It could even be a simple 5-minute video on your website. Most people spend 90% of their pitch talking about their product, their features, their testimonials, their years in business. Don't do this. Instead, you should be spending 90% of your time talking about an idea and only 10% of the time talking about the product. And if you do this properly, when somebody buys into the idea, the product becomes inevitable. This is how you sell without selling. This is how people will create massive magnetism towards their brand, towards their business, where people are lining up to work with them and they're not even like really selling, because those people aren't just interested, they're asking how they can buy. A great pitch is when someone asks how they can buy before you even tell them there is anything to buy. And this is the key to massive scale. If you know anything about the 5 levels of customer awareness, you'll know that the most aware are people that know about your product, they know about your pricing, they know the details. Then you have product aware people who know you have a product, but they don't know the details. Then there's solution aware, people that have a problem and they know there's a specific solution to that problem, but they don't yet know about your solution. And the problem is most people live in this section of the market, and that's why it's hard to scale, because it's a very small pool of people. But further up the level of awareness, there is the problem-aware people. This is a much bigger slice of the market. These are people that know they have a problem, but not necessarily how to solve that problem, let alone the different products and services out there that would help them execute on that solution. At the top of the levels of awareness is unaware market. These are people who don't even know they have the problem yet. Massive scale comes in this section of the levels of awareness. This is where the most people are. And so instead of fighting for a small pool of people already looking for a solution, you can create demand by introducing a new idea into the market that resonates with the unaware and problem-aware section, which is much larger. This is how you create demand where none existed. Example, when Dollar Shave Club launched in 2012, nobody was asking for razors delivered to their door. There was zero demand. So instead of pitching convenient razor delivery, they sold a new idea. The idea that you're not paying for the razor, you're paying for Gillette's billion-dollar marketing budgets. Dollar Shave Club's razors cost less because you're paying for the blade, not a Super Bowl ad. That idea made people feel ripped off by current razors. And once they bought into that, 12,000 orders in 48 hours. Not because people wanted subscription razors, because they bought into the idea. You're paying for razors, boom, unaware market. I didn't even know I had a problem. I didn't even know that razors were too expensive. I didn't even know that they only cost this much and the Super Bowl ad was $10 million. And once I understand this, bam, Dollar Shave Club subscription razors. Now I buy the product because I bought into the idea. Another example, in 2007, Mint.com and 𝐿Sabre launched budgeting apps. And both had plenty of resources. They were backed by VC funding. Same year, same resources. 𝐿Sabre's pitch was, we'll help you budget better. Mint.com's pitch was, your bank is secretly ripping you off. We'll show you how much they're stealing. One sold a product. The other sold an idea. Mint.com got acquired for $170 million, and the other shut down, complete failure. One of my favorite examples of this is Liquid Death. So one time I went to a concert to see Papa Roach, and I saw all these people walking around with this really cool looking, what I thought was beer. Now, I wasn't drinking, I've been sober for 5 years, and I said, hey, I would like some water. and they charged me like 15 bucks for this can of water. I'm like, what the heck? And they're like, well, it's liquid death. I'm like, well, what's liquid death? And they're like, oh, it's water, but it looks cool. I'm like, why would I want it to look cool? He's like, well, there's a lot of people here that actually don't drink, but it looks cool because it looks like a beer. So they can go and hang out with their friends and party, and they don't look like nerds. And so the only reason I paid the $15 for the water is because I was excited to go home that night and research Liquid Death and understand their marketing strategy. That was worth the 15 bucks because there's literally zero logical reason anyone should pay that much for water when they can get a simple bottle of water or get it from the tap. But see, they didn't pitch hydration. They pitched an idea. Look cool while you're drinking water. They turned water into something cool, into a lifestyle rebellion. The idea, not the product, built a $1.4 billion company selling the most abundant resource on earth, water. So if you want to do this for your own business, stop asking, how do I explain my product better? And start asking, what's the new idea that makes my product inevitable? Your pitch should make people feel something. A couple of examples are ripped off, left behind, or doing it wrong. And that's how you stop selling products and start creating demand. Okay, so now that you understand how you're selling an idea first, there's still a problem. Most people pitch ideas like they're pitching products. They explain, they educate, but that's not how ideas spread. If you really want a pitch that's impossible to ignore, you've got to make people hungry. Which brings me to the second principle. Make them hungry, don't offer a meal. So here's where most pitches and marketing strategies and messages and movements die. They offer a meal to someone who's already full. And the mistake is the audience doesn't care about the problem enough to buy anything, no matter how good the solution is. A great pitch does not offer a meal. It makes you hungry. It makes you care so deeply about the problem that you would do anything to solve it. The difference between a pitch that gets ignored and a pitch that gets people lining up, one focuses on the product, the other focuses on the problem and makes it feel urgent. Example, after World War II, the Mars company had a problem. They created chocolate pellets coated in a hard candy shell for soldiers so they would have energy on the battlefield. And they put the coating around it so it wouldn't melt in the battlefield heat. Great for war, useless when the war ended. Who cares about melt-proof chocolate when you're not in a foxhole? That's when they hired legendary ad man Rosser Reeves to save the company. He interviewed the founder for hours and hours, and he got nothing useful. Until finally, frustrated, one of the company heads screamed at Rosser and said, "They melt in your mouth, not in your hand." That wasn't a product feature. That was a problem nobody knew they had. Suddenly, every parent remembered chocolate-smeared car seats. Every kid remembered ruined pockets. Reeves turned that into a campaign that sold over 4 million pounds of candy. Not because the product changed, but because people finally understood the problem. When Steve Jobs launched the iPhone in 2007, Jobs didn't walk out on stage and say, "Here's a phone with a touchscreen." He spent the first 4 minutes making you hate your current phone.
The problem with them is really sort of in the bottom 40 there. It's this stuff right here. They all have these keyboards that are there whether you need them or not to be there.
He made the problem feel unbearable. By the time he revealed the iPhone, you already wanted it because you were starving for a solution to a problem you didn't know you had 5 minutes ago. So if you want to do this for your own business, before you pitch your product, ask, does my audience feel the pain of their problem? And if not, your job isn't to sell, it's to make them uncomfortable. Describe their problem better than they can describe it themselves. When they say, "Holy moly, that's what I'm dealing with," now they're hungry. Now they'll listen. And that's how you stop chasing customers and you start creating demand. And by the way, if you're still grinding for every sale, crafting pitches that get ignored, feeling like you need to get better at closing, the problem isn't your closing skills, it's your pitch. I'm finishing a book right now called How to Pitch, where I break down exactly how to craft these impossible to ignore pitches, the same ones that built my $40 million business. And right now you can get the first chapter for free. I'll leave a link in the description where you can grab chapter 1. Now, if you want to take this to the next level and craft a pitch that is truly impossible to ignore, I'm going to show you the 2-part structure and a little litmus test you can do to make sure you're doing it right. So here's the structure that makes the sold before sold formula work. Your pitch has 2 parts. Part 1, sell the idea. Part 2, sell the product. But here's the key. Part 1 should be so good that part 2 is a formality. If you pitch the idea correctly, you shouldn't have to sell the product at all. People should be asking you for it. This eliminates the two biggest fears people have when pitching: being too salesy or holding back because they're afraid of being salesy. When 90% of your pitch is about the idea, not the product, there's nothing to hard sell. And when people sell themselves, you're not selling at all. So let me give you an example from my first online program that did $9.2 million. It was an online course on how to run Facebook ads. Now, everybody sold that. Facebook literally has a free Facebook ads course. So why did my program do 9.2 million? Well, the idea that I sold was that you could become a modern day Don Draper. At the time, there was a very popular show called Mad Men, and Don Draper was the main character. He was a legendary ad man in the 1960s. Now, Don Draper made millions of dollars without an audience, without a product. See, his clients had the product. The TV networks had the audience. He just created the ads. He was an ad man. And so I created the idea that you can become a modern day Don Draper. You can log into Facebook and get a platform with 3 billion people for free. Your clients already have products. All you do is create ads, connect the two, and collect a monthly fee. No audience needed, no product needed, just like Don Draper, and without climbing a corporate ladder in Manhattan in the 1960s. Now, everybody in my audience at that time wanted to make money without having their own product and without having an audience. And by the way, that's not my audience today. My audience today wants to have their own product and they want to build an audience. But that's what it was then. And that idea sold $9.2 million of an online course. And the point is, it wasn't just a course. It was the vehicle to become a modern day Don Draper. Now, I'll give you a recent example from one of my clients, Dr. Kelly. About a year ago, she flew into Dubai to do a full day of consulting with me. Now, she sells stock trading education. Very crowded market, but we built her pitch around an idea. Black women have been systemically excluded from wealth building knowledge for generations, but Dr. Kelly figured it out anyway. Now she's setting the record straight. So that wasn't a stock trading course pitch. That was a movement. And I got a text from her a few days ago letting me know that 1 year after our day together, she hit $1 million in sales because people weren't buying education. They were buying into an idea that they believed in. So here's the litmus test. If you want to know if your pitch is sold before sold ready, pitch only part 1, the idea. Don't mention your product at all. If their response is, wait, how do I do that? Or, can you help me with this? You're ready. If they say, cool, and change the subject, well, it's back to the drawing board. And that is how you craft a pitch so good, it's impossible to ignore.